What in tarnation is going on, everybody out there? And of course, we got this muddle fudging character known as Boothill now out in Honkai Star Rail, and I'm very excited for him. I think that he's going to be a very, very fun character in general. But today we're going to be talking about how you should be building your Boothill from level 1 to level 80, and of course what you're going to need Lycaon-wise, relics-wise, to get your Boothill up there in proper stature, you know, like a proper cowboy, you know, but without going too far into just, you know, going all over the place. Let's go ahead and just get on with it. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and of course, don't forget to let me know in the comments down below how you're building your Boothill. And of course, I'm sponsored by the ever wonderful Gamer Subs. Make sure to use code TARNATION for 10% off. Guys, we just released the version 2 cups of Amaranth, and we are getting an Aztecross collab, which I'm actually stoked for. I used to be a big fan of Destiny 2, and I knew of Aztecross. I liked watching him. So yeah, it's really, really cool to see that Aztecross is getting a collab. I wasn't expecting it. I really wasn't. But without any further delay, let's go ahead and talk about our boy, Boothill, right? So we got Boothill right here. We're going to talk about, first things first, essential materials that you're going to need. You're going to need these Tatters of Thought. You're going to need about 15 of them bad boys, right? Which are pretty simple. You get these from the overworld enemies that have the like purple jewels all around them. You're going to need 15 of those. You're going to need 15 of the Fragments of Impression as well, followed by 15 of the Shards of Desire. Now remember, rules of 3 always apply with Hoyoverse games. 3 of these Tatters of Thought are going to make the Fragments of Impression, and 3 of the Fragments of Impression are going to make your Shards of Desire. And then of course you're also going to need 65 of the IPC Work Permit, which is a boss, which I can't remember the exact boss, right? I feel really, really bad, but it is a Stagnant Shadow boss, pretty simple. You could do, what was it that I calculated before? It's like 6, I think, because you get 20, it costs like, no, it costs 30. I'm dumb. Okay, I'm dumb. So you can do it 8 times, and you're only going to need to beat it like 13 times in total, which is pretty dang good. That's a pretty dang good number, right? So it's 2 days of grinding. So that's not too bad. And of course, we're going to go ahead and move on to the trace materials here. So first things first, let's talk about these Tatters of whatchamacallit again. These Tatters, you're going to need 41 more, which brings you to a total of 56, followed by 71 of the these thingies, the blue ones, and then followed by also 58 more of the Desire jewels, right? So you're gonna need a grand total on this one, I think about 73. No, yeah, 73 if I remember. Yeah, I'm doing math correctly. My brain is just mush right now, right? But then of course we also have these right here, which is the Meteoric Bullet. Now these are the new Penacony Hunt you know, grind materials. Like these are for your traces, so you're gonna need a lot of these. You're gonna need 18 of these meteoric bullets. You're going to need 69 of the Destined Expiration, and then of course you're going to need 139 of the Counter Temporal Shots. And again, remember, there are rules of 3 to this. Your 3 meteoric bullets are going to make the Destined Expirations, and 3 of the Destined Expirations are going to make the Counter Temporal Shots, right? But what's really cool is I actually get to talk about a brand new weekly boss drop, right? Remember that Sunday fight that we got to do at the end of Penacony? Well, you get to fight him as a weekly boss, right? And you can do this 3 times a week. You're gonna need 12 of these in total, and you get 3 per fight. So you can get 9 in the first week and then 3 in the next week, and you have more than enough to make your Sunday maxed out in traces. And then of course you also need 8 tracks of Destiny. That's pretty simple. We see these all the time, man. Followed by 3.3 million credits. Now, of course, let's also talk about his kit, which is going to help us understand what you're going to need to build with him, right? So first things first, normal basic attack, pretty simple. He is a physical hunt character, so he's going to be a single target DPS character, right? So we're going to the Sizzling Tango skill, forces Boothill and a single target enemy into a standoff state. Boothill's basic attack gets enhanced, and he cannot use the skill lasting for 2 turns. This duration reduces to 1 at the start of Boothill's every turn, or reduces by 1 at the start of every turn. So 2 turns he is going to fight that 1 enemy, right? Now, the enemy target in the standoff becomes taunted when this enemy target Boothill gets attacked by the other party in the standoff, the damage they receive increases by 37.5% up to, or divided by 15%, right? So it looks like basically the target will, we're not divided. I'm such an idiot. So when we're talking about the target and Boothill, the target will take 37.5% more damage and Boothill will take 15% more. So that's a good trade-off. I'll take that standoff, right? After this target is defeated or becomes weakness broken, Boothill gains 1 stack of pocket trick shot, then dispels the standoff. The skill cannot regenerate energy, and after using the skill, the current turn does not end. Initiates standoff after, basically it has a little summary right there, which is pretty cool. So what does this mean, basically? Well, it's going to cause the target enemy to only attack him, right? And Boothill will take 15% more damage, but he will deal 37.5% more damage, right? I did get a little bit flubbered or flabbergasted at the wording there for a second, but I understood after a little bit. Trust me, my brain is mush. I just got done with work, right? But we do have traces that also boost up Sizzling Tango. We got the Above Snakes here, which requires you to have character Ascension 4. When Boothill's in the standoff, reduces the damage he receives from targets that are not in the standoff by 30%. And then Point Blank, when in standoff and gaining perfect trick or pocket trick shot, regenerates 10 energy. Can also trigger this effect when gaining pocket trick shot stacks that exceed the max limit. So even if you get your max pocket trick shots, right, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, you're still going to get 10 energy, which is fantastic, right? Now, of course, we go into the ultimate. Dust Devil Sunset Rodeo applies, why did I say it like that? Applies physical weakness to a single target enemy lasting for 2 turns. Deals physical damage equal to 480% of Boothill's attack to the target and delays their action by 45%. That's huge! Delaying the target action by 45% and dealing a lot of freaking damage. Fantastic. I'll take that. And then we go into the talent, right? 5 peas in a pod. Each stack of pocket trick shot increases the enhanced basic attack's toughness reduction by 50%, stacking up to 3 times. So you could reduce toughness reduction, or you could reduce toughness by 150%, which is basically weakness break, right? If the target is weakness broken when the enhanced basic attack is being used, based on the number of pocket trick shot stacks, deals break damage to this target equal to 87.5%, 150%, 212.5% of Boothill's physical break damage, and the max toughness taken into account for this damage cannot exceed 16 times the base toughness reduction of the basic attack Skull Crusher or Skull Crush Spurs. After winning the battle, Boothill can retain a pocket trick shot for the next battle. So what does this mean? First off, you're going to be doing 150% toughness reduction depending on how many stacks you have. So if you have 1 stack, it's 50, yada, yada, yada. But you could go up to 150%. If they've already been weakness broken and you have pocket trick shot, you could get up to 212.5% damage for physical break damage, which is insane. I think that's really, really good. And then, of course, not only can you use this, but you also retain your pocket trick shots that you have not used for the next battle. I love that they're continuously doing these types of characters where you could use like certain aspects of them. It makes them really unique, right? Like Acheron had the ability to just, you know, floor enemies in Simulated Universe with just a single press of a button. You know, we have Robin being able to pull action forward for everyone. And now we got this. I think it's really neat. I love the Penacona characters, right? But we do have the trace right here, Ghost Load, which increases the character's crit rate, crit damage by the amount equal to 10% up to 50% of break effect up to a max, or sorry, 10% and 50%. So crit rate, 10%, 50% crit damage, up to 30% crit rate to and 150% crit damage, which is why you really, really want to build your break effect, because you're going to need to get that little extra boost. If you build up your break effect and you max out your freaking, or just at least get to character Ascension 2, you're not going to have to worry about crit. And we're going to talk about that here in a little bit as well. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the technique 3-1 times Smile. After the technique is used, when casting a skill for the first time in the next battle, applies the same physical weakness to the target as the one introduced by the ultimate, lasting for 2 turns. So you could have a physical weakness on that enemy just by using the 3-1 times Smile, right? So that's pretty cool. And then, of course, the basic attack, Feigning the Hammer, which I think is when you have the pocket trick shot, right? Deals physical damage equal to 286% of Boothill's attack to a single target enemy. Sorry. Again, still trying to, stay awake. The enhanced basic attack cannot recover skill points and can only target the enemy that is in the standoff. So that's the only downside, is that you can't gain back your skill points. But in that time, you're not really going to need them because he's only going to use it once every couple turns. So if you have your harmony characters or, even your preservation characters helping you out, you really don't have to worry about that too much, right? So Boothill is pretty good, but let's talk about how you should build him. Let's go ahead and go over some Lycaons really quick. I think this is a no-brainer. Sailing Towards the Second Life is his best Lycaon because it's made for him, right? Increase the wearer's break effect by 60%, and the break damage dealt to the wearer dealt by the wearer, ignores 20% of the target's defense. When the wearer's break effect in battle is at 150% or greater, increases their speed by 12%. This is huge. You get a speed buff, you can ignore 20% damage, and you're going to increase your break effect by 60%. Pretty pog, right? If you're looking for another 5-star that's a little bit more free to play, you could go Cruising in the Stellar Sea, right? Increase the wearer's crit rate by 8% and increases their crit rate against enemies with HP less than or equal to 50% by an extra 8. When the wearer defeats an enemy, their attack is increased by 20% for 2 turns. Attack is important on Boothill. You want to make sure that you have high attack, and you want to make sure you have high break effect too. So just work that out, right? It's not that difficult. Come on now. But of course, we also have one of the newer 4-star Lycaons here, Final Victor. Increases the wearer's attack by 12%, and when the wearer lands a crit hit on enemies, gains 1 stack of good fortune. This can stack up to 4 times, and every stack of good fortune increases the wearer's crit damage by 8%. Good fortune will be removed at the end of the wearer's turn. So this is pretty good. The only downside, right, is that it ends on every turn. And maybe it would work really, really well on Boothill for the multiple attacks he's doing, but it still kind of like irks me a little bit how that works. It's like, okay, at the end of the turn, he's going to lose his crit damage. So I don't know. But there is one 4-star that I think is a better option, right? And that's going to be Swordplay. Swordplay's been in since the beginning of the game, right? For each time the wearer hits the same target, damage dealt increases by 8%, stacking up to 5 times. This effect will be dispelled when the wearer changes targets, right? So if you're fighting a boss and you use Boothill's skill, right? This Lycaon is going to be the best Lycaon for you in regards to 4-stars, right? Because you're getting up to that, 40% extra, damage. And that's pretty big. Again, sorry, trying to make myself stay awake here, but this is really good. I would say for 4-stars, go for Swordplay. If you're gonna go for 5-stars, I would say just something for his Lycaon. I mean, this Cruising on the Stellar Sea is still good, but I would just go for his Lycaon. But let's go ahead and talk about relics now. If you're going for break effect, there is nothing better than the Thief of the Shooting Meteor, or Thief of Shooting Meteor. Break effect is increased by 16%, and the 4-piece increase the wearer's break effect by another 16%. After the wearer inflicts weakness break on an enemy, regenerates 3 energy. This is top tier. This is literally the set you should go for. It's very easy to farm, especially from bosses themselves too. But it literally gives you 32% break effect on the 4-piece, right? If you decide you don't want to do a 4-piece, you can do a 2-piece of this and 2-piece of a Watchmaker, right? Because you're going to get that extra 16% anyway. You're just going to lose out on that 3 energy that you would regenerate, right? Or you could even go for any of those being the 2-piece and then a 2-piece Messenger, giving yourself that speed by 6, but you're losing out on that 16% of the actual, break effect, right? For me, I think Thief of Shooting Meteor is your best bet. It's an older set, it's been here for a while, and it makes a lot of sense to go for the break effect, right? But I do understand for people who want to do the 2-piece, it makes it a little bit easier to, kind of find the pieces that you absolutely need. But when we're talking about pieces, let's go ahead and talk about your chest piece and all that stuff. So chest piece, you want to work crit rate or crit damage depending on what you need the most, right? Followed by speed being on your boots. Speed is crucial for Boothill on top of break effect, right? you're going to be going break effect, speed, and then your crits, and then attack percentage, right? Because you want to make sure that you have your higher stats. And attack is always going to be a must, which, you know, is great, but you also want to make sure that you have your break effect and speed. Those are the main two that you mainly want to focus on, right? When it comes to your other sets, right? And I forgot to actually pull these up, but we're going to do this really quick, right? Let me pull up the set right here. We're going to go right here, and we're going to go into our actual, like, little sets right here. The set that I'm actually going for, right? And I haven't really, like, I've seen a couple people talk about this. It's Talia, Kingdom of Banditry, right? The 2-piece increases the wearer's break effect by 16%, and when the wearer's speed reaches 145 or higher, the wearer's break effect increases by an extra 20%. It's a no-brainer. This is the best set to go for. I really don't think that you should focus on any other set. I mean, sure, you could run a Glameth, right? Like, Glameth is okay. Glameth increases your attack by 12%, and when your speed is at 135 to 160, the wearer deals 12 to 18% more damage, right? I think you can go for that. There's a couple other ones I'm pretty sure you could go for, but honestly, when I saw Talia, that was it. That was the set I was going to go for. So I would say run a 4-piece Meteor, and then run 2-piece Talia. And on your Talia set, right, your orb should be physical damage, because he is a physical damage dealer, and your chain or link or whatever you want to call it should be, you guessed it, break effect. Makes the most sense, right? Right? It's super easy, man. Just build him with high break effect. That's all you really need to do for him. Boothill, in my opinion, is very easy to build. Break effect, speed. Focus on those two. Get as whatever crit rate and crit damage you can, but you will be perfectly fine so long as you focus on that speed and your break effect. He's going to be fantastic. I'll tell you that right now. And that's going to be it for today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check out, obviously, Gamer Subs. I couldn't remember where to point, right? I couldn't remember that. Point right there. Check out gamersubs.gg. Use code TYSTER for 10% off. And y'all, that's going to be it. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to entertain you. We will be back again with another Honkai Star Rail video very, very soon. And of course, as always, please take care and be safe. I love you guys.